The shooting range. In this episode, Pages of History, Avenue of Broken Dreams, Squadmates, Eastern Europe Guide, and Metal Beasts, Anti-Tank SPAAG. The parade of new vehicles is still on, and today we'd like to talk about one of the most peculiar machines added by the Sky Guardians update. With a hull from the Leopard 2 and the combat modules from the Marksman anti-aircraft gun, this Chimera promises to bring a lot of fun. Just listen to the name! Il Matoriunta Panzerivauno 90. The 90 part must stand for the number of letters in it, huh? Well, let's take a closer look at this wonderful hybrid. Its main weapon is a two-plane stabilized twin 35mm gun with elevation angles between -10 and +85 degrees. The turret also has 8 smoke grenade launchers. The crew includes a driver in the front of the hull, as well as a gunner and the commander in the combat module. The engine and transmission compartment is in the rear of the machine. The main feature of this Finnish anti-aircraft gun is its respectable hull, which it inherited from the Leopard 2. The hull came together with the 1500 horsepower engine, and since the Marksman's part is 6 tons lighter than the tank turret, this machine gets a power-to-weight ratio of more than 30 horsepower per ton. In practice, this leads to a high mobility level on any kind of soil. Moreover, the machine kept the original German armor. This anti-aircraft gun basically borrowed the protection level of a much higher-tiered MBT. Now, what about the firepower? A twin 35mm cannon is pretty typical for SPAAGs of this rank. The barrels are mounted on each side of the turret, which might reduce the firing efficiency against both air and ground targets. Sometimes it might even get funny. You fire straight at the front but shoot off both tracks and hit nothing else. Another noticeable flaw of this weapon can be discovered when fighting enemy armor. This machine has a limited supply of APDS rounds. They might not even last 3 targets. That's why we recommend you first load a regular armor-piercing belt, keeping the saboted rounds for special moments. As for tactics, this Finnish machine is pretty versatile. It's certainly good for the classic careful play with moving in the rear and air defense for allies. It's also pretty efficient as a freelance tank hunter on the battlefield. If you go for the latter, do it at the beginning of the battle. This way you're going to get the most out of your mobility advantage. Soviet tanks are the hardest targets for the ITPSV-90, but they're not invincible. Aim your rapid-firing cannons at the lower area of the hull behind the road wheels, and you're good. Summing up, the flaws of this Finnish Leo marksman are easily compensated with wise tactical decisions, while its advantages are good enough to compete for the title of the anti-tankiest SPAAG in War Thunder. The development of the Yak-38 made Alexander Yakovlev feel like he was sent to hell, with his personal department aimed at perfectionists. The task in front of him was no simple matter: build a vertical takeoff and landing fighter. Moreover, it must be better than that British one, the latest work of his old friend, counterpart, and competitor, Sir Sidney Cam. All of his efforts felt fruitless. No matter how hard they tried, the Yak-38 was nowhere near the Harrier. Even the Americans admitted they couldn't do better and simply bought the British machines. But Yakovlev never liked being second, and he also knew very well that if you're just trying to catch up, you're doomed to stay that way. The Soviet military seemed to understand that too. Basically, the idea of dropping all attempts to polish the Yak-38 in favor of creating an entirely new machine was in the air, so ultimately it didn't really matter who voiced it first. The engineers had already received some experience by that time, including a few reaffirming points scored by their brainchild that only needed a bit of creativity. Yakovlev Bureau enthusiasts had made their first sketches for a new machine even before the Yak-38 made its first deck landing. Now, what was it that the military wanted? Oh, not much. Just a decent combat range and a supersonic speed in level flight. A modern radar system for medium-range air-to-air missiles would also be good, since it'd turn the machine into a decent fighter. Oh, even the British couldn't do that, you say? So what? Wasn't Yakovlev a pro in solving impossible tasks? Well, few people knew that the Yak-38 was only the first circle of perfectionist hell. The path lay through the darkness of obscurity towards new frontiers and across numerous such circles. And man, that path was hard. Making a new engine with a thrust vectoring nozzle alone was a nightmare. Deadline after deadline was missed, and the process took years. The teams had to solve more unexpected issues than they could count. When the machine ultimately got its final look, the project received its first major blow. Marshal Ustinov, the main unofficial patron of the future Yak-141, passed away. The work was still going on anyway, with new decisions implemented, tests performed, until 1989, when Alexander Yakovlev himself passed away. He did have the chance to see the new fighter's first flights. He was certain it had a bright future, and the country whose aviation he'd been developing his entire life would appreciate all his efforts. But in only 2 years, that country collapsed and was gone, together with the aircraft carriers the Yak-141 had been made for. The project ran into still more poor luck. One of the prototypes crashed in September 1991 while attempting a deck landing. With the Soviet Union collapsing, this accident was used as an excuse to first wrap the flights and then discontinue the program altogether. The Yak-141 only had one chance to demonstrate its capabilities. In 1992, it was part of the Farnborough Air Show. The world saw and recognized that Yakovlev and his engineers did create a machine surpassing the Harrier in most fields after all. A machine that no one really had a use for in the new post-Soviet reality. The Yak-38 had long since been discontinued, and the 141 never reached mass production. You can only find experimental prototypes in museums now. Does that mean that the colossal amount of effort had been wasted? No way. The development experience was not lost, and the technologies are all preserved. Who knows? Maybe that same Yakovlev Design Bureau will try to create a similar machine again in the future. Of course, it must be something entirely new for the 21st century. Today's Squadmates section will give you some tactics for one of the most popular urban maps, Eastern Europe. The battlefield is highly symmetrical here, so our recommendations are valid for both teams. In Scenario 1, players drive to the opposite sides of the map. The plan includes capturing neither the home nor the central point. Instead, it aims at providing a combat advantage for the allies in the town. Right after spawning, one of the players should cross the river via the closest bridge, while the other one should move towards the hill in F3. It gives a good firing angle at enemy machines trying to cap their own home point. Don't get too excited hunting for frags here. Make a few shots and move towards square F5 with those ground folds. Meanwhile, the other squadmate on the other bank should be able to reach the lumber mill by now. Once complete, this maneuver will allow your squad to control two commanding heights on either side of the map center, giving you an opportunity to clear up point B with crossfire and free the path for your allies. Each of the players also controls the approaches to their squadmate's position. Just don't forget to share information in a timely manner. After defeating a few enemy waves, both squadmates may move to the enemy side of the map or even reach the enemy base. Scenario 2 implies both squad mates taking part in the capture of the central point. Once you spawn, you need to split ways, too, albeit not by as much. One player should go to the embankment at the earliest opportunity, while the other one should ignore the home point and take the main road to the center of the map. The squad mates should be able to reach point B at the same time and take the following positions. One behind this building in the capture circle, the other one behind those sandhills. Once the area is yours, the fire support player may move a bit further, closer to the house found on the enemy side. The player who just capped the point needs to wait for a good chance to move south. These maneuvers will expand the area you can cover with crossfire. You can try taking turns in baiting the enemy into your squadmates' fire. Move ahead on either side of the town towards the enemy home point, and you can even capture it and establish defenses. Just don't forget about positions found in the forest and on the northern bank. Stay careful all the way to the point so that your next intersection doesn't become your last. As usual, combat success depends on map knowledge, combat awareness, and efficient communication. Don't forget to inform your ally about new events on the battlefield, and you will find victory much more achievable. Do you have your own tactical advice for Eastern Europe? Share it in the comments while we answer some of the questions you left for previous episodes. The first question was sent by a player called Tazanic Goes Boom. Which is the best tactic for tanks like the STRV-121? Hi, Tazanic. The STRV-121 is a balanced machine suitable for pretty much any tactic. We personally believe it's the most efficient in aggressive pushes towards the enemy's side of the map. Stay unpredictable. The 121 will do the rest itself. Mr. Oncepatro asks, what are the differences between the T-72B and the T-72B 1989? Hello! The 1989 version has the Contact 5 ERA protection, which gives a major boost at resisting both HE and AP rounds. Another question comes from Jerry. If I land a helicopter on a captured zone, can I replenish rockets or ammo? Hey Jerry, you can only restock your ammo on special helipads. Ground capture zones don't work like that. FBI writes, why is there a fixed MG in the tail of the HE-111? What's the purpose of it? FBI, is it the leaks again? Whew, it's a different issue, thank God. The fixed MG was enough to be a scare, actually. Few fighters were willing to risk continuing a chase in the hopes that the rear MG wouldn't be able to hit them. And the last comment for today was written by S-Smug. What about making a chapter with the TAM family? Hi there, Mug. We've actually made a video about it just recently. Check out our channel. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to check the classification codes on your documents, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.